A quarter of the market capitalization of the New York Stock Exchange consists of values of stocks and bonds. So that is a huge amount, and this is by the end of 1925. So railways, both presented by bonds and stocks, represented a huge value, not even in New York, but also in Brussels, in Berlin and in Paris. So railways were just there. It was not an extremely innovative industry at this point in time, but it was just a major industry. So what I would like to tell you and to share with you are the results of one of our papers we discuss in this course. That is the financial reporting in an unregulated setting. We take the largest capital markets around the world, so from Sweden to the US, from the Netherlands to Australia, and what we see is actually this, that if we may conclude something, is that railway accounting is much lengthier and provides much more information than other companies do. So that's one of the main findings. Over all the countries, we see exactly the same picture. Railway accounting, on average, is much bigger, much better, provides more information than normal companies, industrial, like mining, electricity, and etc. do. So that's an important point. So, one less. We take, on average, 8 countries. Those 8 countries have large stock exchanges. Ryan Zingales explains that countries with relatively large stock exchanges should also have good financial reporting. So, probably one way or another way, this sample could be a little bit biased. It is relatively unregulated. So the only regulation is, especially if you look to mainland Europe, goes back to the Napoleonic codes, the Code de Commerce. There it's stated that a merchant should draw a balance sheet and a kind of income statement. For example, in Belgium, this is extended that the balance sheet has got 5 items on the asset side and a few items on the liability and shareholders and equity side. So that is one of the issues. So financial reporting at that time is unregulated. Barton and Weimar reflects the same, that financial reporting even in the US, despite some states, is relatively unregulated. So in an unregulated environment, it's nice to compare countries. This is a huge study. It contains over 700 annual reports of 1 year, 1925. That's just the year between the Great War and the Second World War, a time of prosperity, and just before the Wall Street crash. So that is one of the reasons we picked out this year. One of the other things besides that railway reports are lengthier and fuller and includes more pictures than other reports. From now off, we would exclude the railway reports and talk just about the ordinary companies. If we compare the ordinary companies amongst countries, we see several differences. One of the differences is that, for example, in Belgium, France and Germany, the financial reporting, measured by items on the balance sheet, items on the P&L account, and an independent disclosure matrix, which measured, for example, comparative figures, which measure financial reporting issues, etc., scores relatively the same but lower than financial reporting in the UK and the US. A reason for that could be, if we take Germany out as an example, is that a lot of companies are family owned. A lot of breweries, which were listed at that time, were family owned. So those kind of family members don't see the necessity to publish and to make information public available. On the other hand, the German banking system is an important provider of course, credits, but also of share capital. So they're already part of the board, so they don't need extra information. So extra information is only for the few shareholders around. If I look to the US or to the UK, we see a totally different picture. What we're going to see there is this. We've got family companies too, but we got also a lot of small investors who had to invest their little capital in shares and bonds. So what they really need is, all those small investors, is what? It's just financial information. So one of the reasons is that those annual reports in those countries are bigger, is probably the reason that there are much more smaller investors around. All these results are just written in the Dutch and summarized English version of financial reporting in an unregulated environment. So thank you for watching.